DJ Pro Hidden Buttons Walkthrough. I'm DJ SPiegel Spin, and in this video I'm going to show you guys some features in DJ Pro that you might have overlooked. In this video I'm going to show you guys some features and buttons and knobs that you may have not known about, and I've made videos like this in the past, but in this video I'm using a mouse and you'll be able to see exactly where I'm pointing, and I hope it makes it easier for you guys to understand and get value from this video. So we're starting off in classic mode. This is the mode that you guys are going to see when you first open the app, and there's a couple of cool features with it. Number one is this needle is actually movable, so it'll change the position of the song. So if you go all the way there, all the way towards the middle, it'll be the end of the song, and then if you go to the outside of the deck, it'll be the beginning of the song. It's similar to if you had real turntables and you moved the needle. That's what they tried to replicate, and they did a very good job. Another thing that has to do with these turntables is this little button here. This cuts off power to the turntable. It's like if you had a turntable or a fan going and you just unplugged it, it'll slowly stop spinning, and this is good for cool transitions, maybe going from higher BPM to lower BPM. Now right here, this little musical symbol, what this does is it's the key lock. So this allows you to adjust the BPM very drastically without changing the integrity of the song. So normally if you have it off, you will hear chipmunks if you go all the way up, and then it will be slow if you go all the way down. And this key lock will help us keep the song in key and not make any of those weird noises. Now up here you got the BPM, so you could adjust the BPM. You could type it in. Let's just say you wanted it to be 122. You could type it in like that. You could half it, or you could double it, or you could tap the BPM. What that means is if the track that you're trying to analyze is not getting a good beat grade and the BPM seems off, like maybe a lot of times with classic rock songs and songs that were made with a real drummer, the program won't pick it up. So you could actually tap your finger to the beat and it will adjust the tempo for you. Now if you go to the tempo section, you got another access to the key lock. You could go up by percentage or down by percentage with the BPM, and you could adjust the range. So you could go 8%, and that'll help you if you have a controller with a smaller tempo slider because you'll have more control. Or you can go all the way up to 75% if you want to do those drastic BPM changes. Now let's go right here. You could invert it, which is very simple. Just up will be down, down will be up. Now let's go over to our mixer section. So with NeuroMix, these buttons will do only that section. So this button right here would turn the drums on, and then this mute button will mute the drums, mute the harmonics. This is good for doing quick mashups and remixes on the fly. And now if you press the NeuroMix arrow over here, you could change the bands. So this is just percussion and tonal, or you could do even 4. So you got drums, bass, harmonics, and vocals. It just gives you more customization to the song, and it's whatever you guys are used to. I just keep it in the 3, and then I do the drums, the harmonics, and the vocals. So if we go over here to Q, you could change the repeat length. You could go from 1/8 all the way up to 1, and then you could do quantized jumps, or you can do 4 beats and 8 beats. Mess around with this if you're having issues where when you when you set the sync button that it skips beats. You could adjust it with these and it might help the situation. Now over here you have the cues, and if you press over to this pencil right here, you can change the name and you can change the color. I definitely recommend that color code all of your tracks with your cue points. So if you're doing if you a good strategy is to mark on each song where to start the mix and where to end the mix. So you could do start is green and end is red, and then across all your tracks and all your playlists, you have it color coded so it's easier to know what's going on. And if you have a controller that has color coded like RGB pads, then it'll show up on the pads, which is really cool, especially if you have one that has really bright lights. Now we're going to go over to the pitch cue. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then there's slice. And this is a loop. So you could set the loop from this button over here. Also up here you have access to the loop all the way up to 32 bars and down to a half. To 132. So that's going to be like it's just going to be that's what it's going to sound like. Now we're going to go over here to the loop section. If we add a loop, again, these can be, you could change the name. So if you're looping it on a specific word, like if you're using the song for a wordplay transition, let's say the word you want to use is money, you could just write in here money. And then that'll be saved forever, no matter if you exit the app, go back in the app, or use your account on another device. It'll still be saved there. And then you could exit it. And now here in bounce, we can adjust the harmonics only, drums only, or vocals only. So you could do bounces with just the vocals, which is really cool, or bounces with just the beats. I recommend playing around with this for like an hour, and it takes some getting used to, but once you have it down, it gives you more access to really doing build-ups and increasing the drops and stuff by using just the harmonics and just the vocals. Now bounce, you could do a pad. So this is going to be high pass is up, low pass is down, and then to increase the loop would be to the right, and to decrease it would be to the left. And then you could do anything in between. Now let's go to our effects. So we have pad effects here. That's the same thing as I just explained to you. We have instant effects, and you can edit any of these. So any instant effects, you could put it in whichever box you want and make like your own custom effects pack, which is very cool because they gave us so many effects and it's hard to decide, and now this makes it easier. And then there's manual. A lot of people don't know or overlook it in the app. I know I never use these sliders because they're kind of hard to grab with your finger. But over here, wet and dry just means how much of the effects is going to be on. So I'm going to play this track. Let's start it over. Set the loop. So as you go all the way to the right, clockwise, it'll be more of the effect, and if you go counterclockwise, it'll be less of the effect. This is really good for kind of fading in the effects and fading them out instead of just boom, effect on and effect off. So I think that's really cool, and I overlooked it for a while, and I think you'll find it useful. And over here with the new update, we have access to change the beats on echoes and reverbs and echo outs. So mess around with it and find out which one is better for you. Now let's go over to our waveforms. So with the waveforms, if you press over here, right by where it says the 2, and there's a little tiny arrow, now you could set slice mode, and you'll have these little sections that you could slice with. And then you could set slip mode, which means you could scratch while the song is playing, and then you won't lose your place. It'll go to where the song would have been if you didn't scratch. And then dark mode, it makes it a little bit easier on your eyes. If you look at the waveforms now, I'm going to put dark mode on. I usually keep it on that because if there's not that much light, it's so much easier to see the colors of the waveforms with the dark background. And then zoom. You could zoom in all the way on your waveforms, which might help you if you really want to find the fine adjustments. So those are our waveforms. And you could also zoom in. You could increase. It's like a pitch bend. So a lot of DJs, when they're doing like a beat match or something or trying to get the tracks lined up, if you touch the side of the platter, it'll speed up the track, or if you turn it the other way, it'll slow down the track a little bit. That's what these plus and minus buttons do. And then now if we go over here, if we go back to the record view, the plus and minus buttons are over here, and that is the pitch bend. It'll slowly move the track forward or move it back. Really good to getting those fine-tuned beat matches without using the sync button. So this is another section in our mixer. Up here is the filters, and up here is the gain. I don't think a lot of people use the gain with DJ Pro. I know I don't, because if you don't have a mouse, it's really hard to get these buttons. And they also provide an auto gain feature, so you don't have to worry about it. And a lot of the DJ Pro specific controllers don't have a gain knob, so I don't recommend using it. But if you need to make that adjustment, it's right here. And then now, this is not it with this section. On one of the updates, they added, boom, now you have full EQ, a full EQ. So if you go to equalizer, it's lows, mids, and highs, and then filter. And you could also adjust it to Neuromix. So now it's a Neuromix section. Just like on the Reloop Buddy, it's drums, harms, and vocals. So it's however you want to mix. I believe this is the future of DJing, and new controllers and new softwares aren't going to have the lows, mids, and highs like they used to. But we're still in that transition process. And then you could have the Neuromix crossfaders. So with these, you could, if you like using the crossfader better, sometimes it's easier to use these sliders if you're just using the iPad without a controller. So it's whatever your preferences are. And now we are in the looper section. Up here we could change our loops, we could edit them, change the names, and we could also make our custom sample packs, which is really cool. And then you could record down here, and you could also, you have a very small volume fader, so you could fade in these loops or fade in these samples. So I hope you guys found some stuff that you didn't know was already in DJ Pro, and I hope you learned something. Let me know if I left anything out, and let me know if there's something you want to learn in the next video, and give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.